Welcome back, it's Jeff Jones and this is part 2 of Admin by Request EPM feature deep dive on settings and how making them work works. And just a quick recap, in part 1 we had a look at the basics, so that would be global settings and what they're all about, how you configure those, and then we looked at two, I think, of what are the most commonly configurations of subsettings, which is where you have one subsetting to a group and you've either configured some of the settings or partial overrides from global, or maybe you've gone in and done a full override from global settings as well. So in part 2 we're going to look at some probably more exotic configurations, and maybe some of these particular configurations you didn't actually know were possible. So let's get stuck in, and the first of these subsetting configurations we're going to look at in part 2 is called Baseline Plus. So let's have a look at what that's all about next. Right then, so now we are going to have a look at my self-christened Baseline Plus, and this actually is where things start getting quite exciting. Where we left off is we had global settings configured, and then we also configured a single subsetting, and then we left it in a state of full override. So the user, which was Adam in the subsetting, is not going to have any other subsettings, and also not pick up any global settings. And what I'm going to do for Baseline Plus is actually switch to a different user to basically explain a new use case scenario. So if we go into inventory, you should see that my other test user Paul is logged into the AD joined Windows 11 system, and I also have the same user logged into an Entra joined system. So if we click on here, you can see that this computer is a AD joined hybrid system, and then if we close and then we go onto the Entra, you will see that this one is joined natively to as an Active Directory, so not a hybrid. We see what that looks like over here. So you can see that this is the hybrid, this is the Entra system. And then on this, so you can tell because we have a slightly different logo here with a padlock, and then we have the AD joined hybrid system here. Now, we haven't configured a subsetting for Paul, and if we have a look, we can see that on neither system, so on the AD joined system, Paul is not a member of this group, so there's no matching subsettings. And then on the Entra system, let's go back to the inventory list. This one, also you can see that there are no matching subsettings. So we therefore should end up in global settings. So if we have a look, this is the AD join system. So if you remember, we had checked the global settings out. We had approval enabled, and we had a pre-approval rule and blocking. So basically we should see system file blocking should be working, and we have approval also should be working. Actually, that's a pre-approval rule, so that's good. And then the other one isn't pre-approved, so that will force approval. So it's all good. And the Entra based system should also have the same settings. However, if we try and do something on the Entra system, something interesting happens, and that is we get blocked. Why is this? Well, the reason for this is because we have set a global scope of domain computers, and if we go and have a look in the Entra system, because it's full Entra joined, we don't have that domain computers group syncing up all we have is this device group called all Entra devices. So I'm actually going to copy this device group and put it into my global scope to show you that when you have multiple groups in the same scope box, they're an OR. So either needs to match for the global scope to be in effect. And if I hit refresh, at the top you'll see that it'll say domain computers and all Entra devices, and that means now that I can, if I do this admin session, I get the approval, and you can see that if I try and do this pre-approval rule, this will now pass. So we just enabled this Entra system to use the global scope as well. So, but there's something that I'd quite like to configure for my Paul user, but I want it only to be in play when he is on the Entra system, but I still want him to pick up other subsettings at the same time. So I'm going to do two things now. I'm going to create a new subsetting for the Paul user, configure that, and then I'm going to create, so that will be for Paul, wherever Paul logs in, whether he logs in on his on-prem AD or if he logs in on his Entra, he'll get the same exact ABR settings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an additional subsetting that enables the MFA mode for admin bar request, but only on the Entra computer. And I won't have to create any other settings than that, or if I want to modify any other setting from the Entra UAC mode, I can do that all on the baseline one. So that's the kind of meaning of this baseline plus idea. So let's first of all go and have a look at Paul's groups, and let's just see, do we have a common group? So we've got ABR users, so we're going to use that group. That's fine for our subsetting. So let's go to subsettings, new, ABR users, update. Again, it's not active, so we have to edit it, and then we put the group in here like so, and basically now I'm able to configure what I like. So let's go and override the look and feel. Maybe we want this subsetting to be a light look. Maybe we want to change the approval so that we tell you, I'm going to just put this user to, actually no, I'm not, I'm going to turn off admin session completely. That's going to be not allowed, and I'm going to enable run as admin without approval or reason. And then perhaps what else can I do in lockdown? Maybe I can allow system files but not sub-processes for this particular user. So you can see again I'm doing my overrides from global, but I want this to be a baseline, so that means it has to be similar to the other subsetting I created. So I'm going to start overriding everything else as well that isn't overridden. Like so, just double check that's all stuck. It's good. Lockdown I've already done. Let's just do that. It's done. Looks good. Perfect. App control. We know machine learning can be overridden. App control is overridden. and we know trade tools taken care of, and emails, another one that can be overridden. If we go back, we can see now we've got a full override here. So again, my Paul user is going to miss this subsetting at the top because he's not a member of the group. So if I do a breakout and do who matches, we're not going to see Paul in there, and actually the Adam isn't logged on anywhere, so that's not showing up at the moment. If we were to do the same with this one, we're going to see Paul who's logged in to the following system. So that's why we're seeing this report there. Okay, so it's time to go and have a look. So I turned off the admin session, so it's asking for a PIN code. That is correct. We decided to allow system file elevation. That's good, but not subprocesses. So I've tried to do a subprocess from here. It will block me. That's working very nicely. Good. And I think also we've got the ability to elevate files without going through approval. Notice how when I'm doing all this, we're getting what is called the consent mode, and that will also be the case whether or not I'm logged into on-prem or Azure. I get exactly the same settings. Okay, you can see same settings, same user, different directories. So what I want to do now is, so this one is the on-prem. This one is fine because for whatever reason, I haven't configured the MFA kind of Windows Labour Business for my on-prem system. So that is the consent mode, and you'll find the consent settings, the UAC settings, sorry, they will be under endpoint UAC here. So you can see for ABI users, we have the confirm mode on. And what I want to do, and this is really the essence of what I call Baseline Plus, is I want to have, when Paul logs in to this Entra system, that he has the MFA mode working when something is elevating, but I only want to change the MFA setting. I don't want to change anything else. So what this is another subsetting. So let's go in and have a look to see if the Entra system has any group that is unique to Entra, and lo and behold, we have all Entra devices, but actually there's another one called ABR MFA, which I think I created for this demo. So if I just go and copy that there and then go to subsettings, I can create a new subsetting, ABR MFA, update, and I can go and edit, and I can now go into endpoint, UAC, override, and then I can go multi-factor and then hit save, hopefully. Perfect. So what this means is that, so if I go back to that subsetting list, oh, I didn't activate it. Let me go and turn on the subsetting. Oh, I didn't put a scope in. So let me just go and put that user group scope in. Actually, it's not a user group. It's naughty. It is a computer group, a device group. So it needs to go in like so. So if I'm on a computer that is a member of a device group called ABR MFA, then this subsetting will apply. Okay. So again, let's go to that subsetting list. Let's break open ABR MFA, see who matches that, and it should just be my Entra system. Absolutely perfect. So let's leave that up on the screen for now. And so let's have a look and see what's going to happen. And maybe if if you've been paying attention, you might know that actually nothing is going to happen. Nothing will be different. And the reason for that is that we put in a baseline here, which is essentially catching all of the settings. Okay, so these will be run. So this top one is not run because Paul is not a member of that group, the senior developers group. This one is then passed next, and of course all of the settings we set are here, so these ones get applied, including in endpoint UAC mode set to consent. This setting in ABR MFA is set but is not applied because it's previously set in the subsetting higher up. Hopefully that all makes sense. But anyway, have a look to see what happens if I move up the MFA setting so that it's higher up. So if I just kind of collapse these again, it may be a little more easier. So what happens? We miss the top one, we're not a member. We hit the next one if we happen to be on a device that's a member of that group, which my Azure system is. And then what happens is we then hit the last one because the user is a member of the ABR users group. So now let's go and have a look and see we're on the entry system. So what should happen now is we should get, we get pin code because I disabled that. So let's go and try something else. Let's go and have a look at this one here, 782. So now you can see we do indeed get the MFA. So I'm going to go and 51, past that. That's pretty cool. And lo and behold, we have the MFA working in the same way. I can stop that and I can go to do the command prompt. This was allowed. We get MFA again. Okay, so again, if I try and do Notepad, I'm going to get denied. So can you see what's happening here is that I've created a plus setting. So a subsetting that is simply adding a single feature to this computer first, and then applying the next subsetting for the user who's logged into this computer. Okay, but really this could be I've used a device group here with MFA, but really if you think about this type of configuration, if you have a baseline subsetting and you want to try out any new admin bar request feature that comes along, but you only want to try that single feature out for a small subset of users, you can create one of these plus subsettings, scope it on that group of pilot users, and then the next group that those users also belong to will pick up the remainder of the subsetting. So I can continue to configure the ABR users group, Paul's main baseline group. So I can go in there and I can, for example, change the look and feel back from light to dark, for example. And that setting will be applied to both the AD on-prem, so we're now in dark mode, and also the Azure joint system, again dark mode. And then I can go and put it back again. I can go and say, no, I want it to be light, like so. And again, on my Azure based system, it's dark. Hang on a second, I just need to, the second time around it'll work because there we go. And then like so again, light. Okay, so you can see how when you're using subsettings with a common baseline, that you can add in a kind of like a plus subsetting that is above the baseline. So we pick up the single override in here, and then we apply all the rest of those settings below. And that is really what I call baseline plus. So with that, we'll move on to app control float. Rather peculiar name, but I can explain the thinking behind this type of subsetting. Again, let's do a little bit of a recap. We're starting to build up a really interesting configuration here. So we've got, I put my test user Adam. Adam is logged into the on-prem system, so that would give him the senior devs subsetting, so we can do a quick match to see, yes, indeed he's logged in, so he's definitely getting those subsettings. And I have Paul, we can see here, logged into the Entra system, and because of that, Paul is picking up the MFA first because of the device group, and then the ABI users second. So this here is the baseline plus, and this here is the kind of the one-to-one full override we did earlier as well. So we're kind of covering all the options, and now we're going to get into app control float. So there's one thing that I haven't really, well, maybe I touched on it a little bit, but at the very start when we were looking at global settings, you might remember, it was probably quite a while ago, seemed like yesterday, but when we look at global settings, we did put in a pre-approval rule here. And if you remember, when you put something into global settings, it will inherit downwards to all the other subsettings. So that is why when we look at all of these subsettings, so let's start with senior devs, you'll see that we did put in the Rufus, but we didn't put this in, but we've got it anyway because it's in global scope. And then if we then go and look at the others, so the ABI users, again, I don't think we put any pre-approvals in there, but we have got the Notepad++ because it's inherited down from the global settings. So this kind of means that you have, it's fantastic if you've got one application you want everyone to be able to pre-approve and bypass that approval, you put it in global settings. If you have a specific app you want, say, the senior developers to elevate, like the Rufus, then you put it in their subsetting. But what if you've got like 10 subsettings and you want a bunch of apps to be in 9 of them but not the 10th? You can't use global settings because then it would go to all 10, and it's going to be a bit of work to put those pre-approvals in 9 times in all those 9 out of the 10 subsettings. So this is where the concept of app control float can help. What we're going to do is a little bit like the baseline plus. We're going to create a subsetting specifically for app control pre-approvals and blocking. Okay, so we're going to create that, and again we're going to need to find a group, and we're going to create a group that is perhaps specific to a tier of application we want people to be allowed to run, and then we're going to create that subsetting based on that group, and we're going to bump it up to the top of our subsetting list, so all of the people that we want to catch with it get served that subsetting. So there's a bunch of apps in that subset. So let me have a quick look at the moment. So we know we've got the Notepad++ enabled here. So let's say, for example, we do want Notepad++ to be in the 2 subsettings, API users and senior devs, but we don't want it to be in global. So what do? Well, the first thing we have to do, obviously, is remove it from the global settings because we don't want the global number of endpoints to pick up that pre-approval rule. So we can either delete it. I guess we could disable it, but let's just delete it just for sake. There we go. And that means now that if we go into the subsettings, we now will no longer see that inherited pre-approval rule. It's not there. It's gone. Okay, we've still got this one, but this one we wanted just for dev. Now I want to put Notepad++, enable it for 2 subsettings. It could be 3, it could be loads. I'm just going to show you how to do it for this one and this one. And just before I do that, I'm going to go in and just prove to you that the 795 is no longer pre-approved. It's going to ask me for consent and that for approval, and that's on the Entra system logged in as Paul H. And then also we want to do it on Adam system on the on-prem again. We've got a light skin there just to differentiate it, and again it's asking me for a reason for approval, so we definitely don't have the Notepad++ 795 pre-approved on any system because it's no longer in global settings and it's not in an existing subsetting. So just like the last time, we're going to go in to have a look to see if there is a group that we can use for this app control float. And funnily enough, I have created a user group called ABR Tier 1 App Control. I'm going to go and create a subsetting. So you're probably getting the hang of this now. I'm going to go to New, put my subsetting in. There it is. Hit Update. I'm going to edit it. This is a user subsetting, so I'm going to put that user in the group here and hit Save. And then I'm going to go to, actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to that subsetting list, and we know that the order of these subsettings is important, so I'm going to bump this one up to above senior devs. So as long as my Adam and Paul are both a member of the app control group, and I can go and find out simply by clicking who matches. I should get both computers, Adam and Paul. That's perfect. They will both pick up this subsetting. So now all I have to do is go into the audit log, have a look at the Notepad++. So I think it's 795 should be. Yes, it is. Actually, might need to pick a different one. 782. Let's do 782. Why not? Let's just do that. So pre-approve this file, and I'm not going to put it in global. I'm going to put it in my app ABR Tier 1 App Control subsetting, like so. So what this means now is that I have a great situation where I don't have a pre-approval rule in global settings. So my organization is not going to be able to elevate Notepad++ without approval because the pre-approval is not in global settings. I also don't have to manually put in the Notepad++ in users or senior devs because I've got it floating above all my other subsettings up here. And it doesn't matter how many extra subsettings I create. If my users are a member, or if my subsettings, should I say, are a member of this, your users happen to be a member of this floating subsetting group, then they will pick up these pre-approvals first. Okay, so let's go and have a look and see. I'm on the on-prem system, so it was 782, wasn't it, that we did pre-approved, and lo and behold, we are not asked for approval, like so. And then we're going to go and do the same with the Entra system. It's 782. So this is asking, this is pre-approved, but I have actually set up, so it's not going to be asking me once I do this for approval. This is simply the MFA prompt that, if you remember, we configured as part of the base plus. So it's just going to take me straight through like so. So that is working very nicely indeed. And what I can do now is I can go into here, you see, and I can go in and add another pre-approval rule. So I can go and do it in one place. So how about I add a network folder, read-a network folder. So that would be probably, I'll try this, demo srv / read only / what have I got here? So it would be apps, and then it's just /apps. And what this will do is this folder is a read-only folder. So I'm basically putting a rule in to say that anything in this folder that's read-only that these users have access to, the user can elevate. So that means that it's quite handy because it means that if you have lots of different apps that you want users to be able to elevate from the network share, you could just stick them in the network share. As long obviously you need to make sure they're safe and everything, but once you put them in a network share, anything in that network share will be able to be elevated by the user. And of course, as it's read-only, the user can't go and put their own stuff in there. So again, let's have a look to see how that works. So I can basically fire up this, and I can basically look in, where's it gone, read-only, and then it's apps. So if I was to go to something, for example, like we've done that plus, so Global Protect, here we go, Palo Alto, go and fire that up. It's going to ask me for MFA, but not asking me for approval. I'll start the installer. There it goes. Just cancel that. Perfect. And then if I go to the other on-prem device, so I go here, I find the network share, here it is. And again, Global Protect, can run that from the network share. This will prompt me for the consent prompt. Here we go. And again, I can elevate that like so. And just to show you that none of this is smoke and mirrors, this is all absolutely live, I can go and simply disable, well, I can either disable it, let's go and disable the subsetting itself. That might be, so if I just go and turn the subsetting off. So now my app float is no longer active. If I go back and try the same thing, so let's go to 782, that will no longer be pre-approved. It'll force me down that approval road. Again, anything on this network share, that will also require me to get approval, because again we've turned off the app float. And then the same for this enter a joined endpoint, run it from the network share, it's going to force me to approval, and again 782, again approval like so. So you can see that using this method of creating a subsetting and loading it with pre-approval rules, and also blocking rules as well, means that you can manage the pre-approval and blocking rules, and I guess any other rule in here, but it's nice to use it for pre-approvals and blocking, because those are the ones that might cause you problems with inheriting from global settings. So you're not limited now to having to decide to have everything in global settings going everywhere, or having to load in specific pre-approval rules, duplicates in different subsettings. You can do it in a very few subsettings using this kind of float idea. So with that, hopefully that was of use. We're now going to move on to the next scenario with subsettings, which is quite interesting, and that is the use of subsettings to use our support assist functionality. A feature that I've done many demos of before is still one of one of the most unknown functionalities of App Bar Request, generally because there aren't any settings for it in the portal, and I have to say, perhaps on the website we could do a better job of promoting it and talking about it, because it is a fantastic functionality, and it's pretty much a USP. I don't think there are any other systems out there that allows this functionality, but in order for you to get it to work, of course you need to do subsettings. So what actually is Support Assist? Support Assist is essentially a way that you can context switch whilst on someone else's desktop. So let's say, for example, our user Paul. Why don't we just we've got his baseline configuration here. I'm not logged into the entry system, so the MFA subsetting isn't going to actually have any difference at all. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to lock down Paul because I don't necessarily want him doing any system file elevation anymore. So I'm going to hit save there. And I'm going to, what else can I do? We already have, I'm going to put approval on as well, why not? And let me see, perhaps, can I block? I can do a block, so maybe we can block something made by Oracle. So nothing against Oracle, it's just I just happen to have an installer that I support. Now that'd be MySQL Workbench, wouldn't it? So perhaps that one, maybe. Okay, so that would be made by Oracle. So I just need to expand that, pre-approve it. Actually, no, I'm not pre-approving it. I'm blocking it. Okay, let's try again, shall we? Okay. MySQL Workbench installer made by Oracle. So break that open, and rather than hit pre-approve, I'm going to go block. And now the blocking rule, I have the option, just like before with pre-approvals, I have the option to put it into my subsetting. I could put it into the float, which would impact both senior developers and ABI users. You know, I'm going to just put it into ABI users, and I'm going to use the type which is certificate. So it's going to basically allow me to block anything made by Oracle, and I'm going to put in a Oracle allowed, like so. I'm going to say call help desk to install. Okay, and I can put a number there if I want to. Just hit save. So this is going to send the blocking rule to my subsetting ABI users for anything that is made by Oracle. And when I mean blocking when I elevate. I could still run things by Oracle that I'm not elevating, but let's give one of these a go. So I think it would be this one is blocked. Perfect. And I have a pin code option if I want to, if I need to do something with a single time. So let's just recap then. So I should not be allowed to elevate system files. It's good. Everything needs approval. Let's just double check that. Perfect. And one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be kind of generous, and I'm going to give Paul a network adapter tray tool. So tray tools, also a feature which may be hard to find. These are little widgets that you can launch off the tray icon. Things like device manager, printer wizards. You can also add custom ones, and we'll do a custom one in a minute, but I'm just going to put network adapter settings in, pre-approve it so that it runs even though I have approval on, and then I'm going to this might take a little while to apply, but let me just go and have a look and see if my tool is there. And let's have a look. There we go. So here we have the network adapter setting tool. So this tool allows me to change my enable, disable, change IP addresses, do a whole bunch of stuff, even though I'm not admin, and that will be kind of logged in the audit log too. So a handy tool for users, but just that tool only. I'm not giving this user any other tools in his subsetting. So that's quite a valid configuration, and it's quite restricted. I'd probably expect to see that configuration in kind of a general staff subsetting, which is fine. And generally, when we talk to customers and they come forward and we have a discussion about, who in the organization needs admin rights, they generally will say, well, we've taken admin rights away from all our users, and X users need admin, and that's fair enough. And then we ask, kind of again, we say, well, have you really removed all admin from all users, including the users on your help desk? And then they say, well, hang on, no, we don't. The help desk people are different. They have to perform admin tasks to end users, so we don't really class them as users. But of course, everyone's a user. And if you're trying to achieve the zero trust kind of mantle of being zero trust, and that's your philosophy, then you're not going to achieve it if all of your help desk have got full permanent admin to every single endpoint in your organization. So Support Assist is a feature that will allow you to remove permanent admin rights from either most or all of your help desk team, and instead of using those permanent admin rights, they're going to use admin bar request instead. So the first thing that has to happen is that the help desk member will have to do a screen share. So we're not using the SRA screen share at the moment, we're using the unattended, but to all intents and purposes, you can imagine that I'm logged into this computer as Paul, and I have asked a member of the help desk team to come and fix a problem. It may be that a script needs to be run as admin, or maybe I need to install some Oracle software, and the error message says I have to call the help desk. So what would generally happen here is the help desk would do a remote session. They use their full admin, maybe even horribly the domain admin rights if they've been granted those, to get past all those prompts to install the things that they need to install on behalf of the user. And perhaps maybe even worse, if they're too busy to do that, they may even chuck the user over a lapse password or even a full admin password that they can use to get past that, and no doubt also at the same time do a whole lot of other stuff that they're not allowed to do, including even making their own local admin backdoor password and user. So we don't want that, and what we want to happen is that when that support person remotes into Paul's computer here, that support person is going to be a domain user. They will have no permanent rights. And then what's going to happen is we're going to use the Support Assist feature to switch the admin bar request settings of the current logged in user to that of the help desk person. And we're going to set all of this up right now. And you'll see just how easy it is to do. And believe it or not, where we start is the creation of a subsetting. So we are going to go to the subsetting list, and we're going to go create new. Now I've created a group called ABR Help Desk, and I've set this group up previously because it does take a little while to propagate and stuff, so just have to trust me. The group is there, and there's a member in that help desk group called Larry, and we're going to move the help desk subsetting up because it's important that this help desk setting is right at the top. There it is, and then we're going to edit that, and we're going to set the scope. It's going to be ABR help desk, like so. Hit save, like this. Good. Next, we're going to open up this subsetting, and we're going to give all the members of ABR Help Desk the ability to do things without approval because we sort of trust them, so that's good. Let's save that and save this. We're also going to, if we wanted to, we could even use a little help desk logo here, but I won't do that. We can use make sure the lockdown area is not configured to block anything, so we put blocking in global. So we definitely want to overrule the blocking. The help desk team need to be able to do unrestricted elevation of system files to fix things. We don't have any blocking in admin session. Malware is important to keep enabled because, and this is the other thing with the support assist, you're giving support people unrestricted full admin. Anything they install for users, who knows where that's come from, may be malicious, and perhaps your EDR may not detect it. So with our malware reputation service, which is built into the product, before someone, and that could be the user or it could be the help desk user, attempts to elevate something, we perform a multi-engine check. So it's a query to a aggregator of checksums, and if the thing that is being elevated looks malicious or suspicious, it will be denied. And that will happen either if the user does it or if the supporter does it, and that means you have extra protection from those kind of inside infections. So I'm going to leave those features on. With app control, of course, I want to be able to, I don't want to be able to block anything, so that should be all off. And with tray tools, perhaps I can give my support people device manager for installing drivers. I don't need to pre-approve actually, because the support people all have approval turned off. I can even create a manual tray tool. This can be anything you like. So why not? Let's just do services. Services.ms. Hang on, services.msc. I think I need to put a /s in there, and I'll put that in anyway. Why not? Services, oops, like so. Okay, so let's just try that out. So we now have a ABR help desk subsetting, of which my Larry user is a member and my Larry user is a domain user, not doesn't have any built-in admin rights. So it's basically just a normal domain user. And what is going to happen is that when Larry does the remote session on this computer, which we're going to do now, you're going to go to About, like so, go to Assistance, and then here, Larry's going to start the assistance mode. So he's going to authenticate as himself, so with his domain account or with his Entra account, which of course would be completely non-privileged. So, like so. And then hit OK. The assistance mode starts, and then immediately you can see, if we go to the About, the tools have changed. So Larry is now being given device manager and say services. So services, remember the actual logged in user is Paul, didn't even have rights to run anything as system. Larry is now on the system, has switched the context, and now can do stopping and starting of services. What else can we do? Well, that Oracle software that Paul couldn't install, Larry can install it for Paul, again without the need for permanent full admin. Plus, when the initiation of this installer is performed, we do that reputation check to make sure that this installer is totally safe. So for example, if I just you just kick that off, wait till the first dialog, we just cancel that, and then we go over here to the audit log. You can see we have a joint log using support assist. So Paul is the end user and Larry is the supporter. And then what we can do is we can look inside and we can see the status. The malware check is pretty good. Okay, so and obviously also nothing needs approval, because obviously the help desk team can elevate things without approval because they're help desk, and also we know that we can do things as system. as well, system file elevation as well. So all of this means that by simply adding, you saw how easy it was to do, by simply adding a subsetting at the top for the help desk team and using the support assist feature built into each admin bar request EPM endpoint agent, supporters can do remote sessions. They can actually do the remote sessions using our own remote support screen share from, it's very similar to this, but just all sharing the screen instead of going in unattended, and they can then trigger the support assist whilst on the screen share, do what they need to do with the rights that the help desk have and just enough admin. Remember, we're going for that zero trust, and then when they're done, they then would stop the support assist session, and then instantly the logged in users context is switched back, and you can see we've got the network adapter settings, and the logged in user is not able to elevate things as system, nor are they allowed to run the Oracle software again. So it's a really excellent feature to remove permanent admin rights from your support team and enable them to help users safely and with just enough admin. And it's all possible by simply adding a single subsetting. So there's one more very similar use case for this, for subsettings, which is something called account separation. And essentially it kind of works very similar to support assist, and I'm mindful that this broadcast has gone on a while, so I won't create another subsetting for this because I don't need to, because the account I'm going to use is basically in that same group, ABR help desk. But just to try and make a point, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into ABR users, and I'm going to completely lock this down. So absolutely nothing is going to work at all. So I'm going to go into app control. I'm going to turn this off. So no pre-approvals. I'm going to perhaps even delete the tray tool. I really do not want my logged in user doing anything at all. No pre-approvals, no nothing. Okay, so, and you see here in authorization, we've got both run as admin mode and admin session mode turned off. Okay, so I have the float at the top. I could remove the user from the float group if I didn't want them having anything, but I won't do that for now. But basically you can see that I really have turned off all of the admin bar request settings for this user. So this user essentially can't elevate anything. So let's just have a quick look at what a completely disabled user looks like. So again, no admin session, and I think we had that configured before. Correct. Now, running anything like this as admin with the run as admin mode turned off is going to give you a UAC prompt, like so. If you want to avoid that, then you can actually use another setting, which is block run as admin. That will give you a more sort of, well, a more informative dialogue. So, and it also will avoid presenting a UAC box to the user. So if I hit that now, you'll see I get access denied with a PIN code, okay? And I don't have any tray tool. So really, I don't have any rights to do anything. And there are some organizations that actually, for whatever reason, and there are arguments for and against this, and I would say that generally account separation is sort of like a bit old school. It's how privilege used to be. You'd have kind of like a non-privileged kind of everyday account, and then you'd have a privileged admin account for you to do admin things. And this really kind of was all because back then there was no way to sort of assign granular privilege per application. Either you were a non-admin or you were a full admin. And there are still some people out there, or some organizations, some policies, some kind of some sort of certification bodies that require account separation like this. I've come across a few, and it's a mindset. So if you want to achieve account separation with admin by request, then you would use something of a feature which is essentially support assist. And what you would have to do, and this is kind of mandatory for account separation, is you'd have to have two accounts, which is kind of like a bit of an admin overhead. But again, if you want complete separation, non-admin account and an account that has privilege elevation capabilities that you're not logged in with, that is unfortunately an evil you will have to manage. So the two separate accounts for the same user. So the current logged in user, if we have a look here, it is called port H, so I can do who am I, like so. And to really get this mode working, I'm going to switch from the confirm mode to the native UAC authentication mode. And actually I don't need to do that on here because this is the mode I'm using for the logged in user. I really should be changing the mode, the subsetting for the context that we're going to switch to. So that would be under endpoint UAC override and authenticate. So we're going to use the help desk subsetting for this because I know this second account is in this group. I'm pretty sure he is. So I'm just going to switch to the UAC mode, and you'll see why in a minute. So let me so imagine that you're working and you've got your non-privileged account. Of course, you can't do anything with admin by request because you're totally blocked. And now you want to do something as admin. And the security compliance people say that in order to do this, you need to use your second ADM account. And to sort of invoke this, you would do exactly the same as the support assist method would do, but you just use your own credentials in here instead. So that would be paulh.adm and then the password. And so now I have the assistant session running for my administrator account, which of course is not a full administrator account. And that's kind of like, in a way, the beauty of using admin by request for account separation is that the ADM account that you're using here is not, even though it's got ADM on it, it's not a permanent admin account. And it's important that it should not be. It is still a domain user account, but just like previously with support assist, with the help desk scenario, this is simply a case of adding the ADM users to a group, defining a subsetting for that group, and then you can decide what sort of admin you want to give those ADM users in that group. And if we look at the help desk settings, you can see, we've got quite a lot of admin. So, and again, also, I think we've got those tray tools as well. They could be useful. So let's go and have a look here. So again, we got the tray tools. We didn't have those before. So we're just pulling in the same subsetting as we had for the help desk. So again, run stuff as admin. Now I've got the UAC prompt, so I would need to authenticate with this user. Okay. And if you have a look now, so if I was to go to task manager and details, you can see this is elevated, and you can see that it's elevated using my ADM account and not my everyday account. And that is account separation using a subsetting and using the support assist feature. And that's really how to do it. So it's simple as that. And with that, we've come to the end of our rather epic two-part deep dive into settings and how making them works. I hope you've enjoyed how I've taken you through on our little subsetting and setting journey. And I really hope that this webinar and series of demos has helped you better understand the real benefits of the way how you configure admin by request, and how at the end of the day it means that using the product becomes actually quite a joy to use, I think, and that really is I think what sets us apart from the competition. So for now, have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Cheerio for now.